Whoa. What's up, world? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? How y'all moving? Hope you feeling fine, feeling blessed, feeling no stress, so feeling stain. Yes, I'm so proud of it, man. Yes, I'm feeling gratitude. Never rude, staying crude, black hearted, never me, my dude. Always open, free, sovereign as can be. Hope y'all are doing well and blessed today. It's another blessed, beautiful day, man. Tuesday, November the 11th. 2025 coming into 2026, which is going to be a year of completion because it equals out on the 10 right now. We're on the 9. So, hey, hope everybody's doing good. Shout out to all my blessed and people staying humble, staying with integrity, staying with morals, standing with power. Hey, man, so blessed to be here with y'all. Hope y'all are hearing me okay. Hopefully, everything is coming through clear. Okay, okay, okay. If I'm having issues, y'all let me know. Audio issues. Okay, we have an audio issue. I'm reloading. Well, I'm back, and hopefully the audio is better. I don't know. Is it? Is it not? Yeah. Check 1 2. Way better. Good. Okay. Grandiose. Hope all of y'all are doing great today, and we're getting into part 3. Yeah. Hopefully this time a little bit better. I don't know what's going on. It's so weird. I normally never have problems. Okay. I hope y'all are ready for today. We're getting into part 3 of this judicial memorandum. Hopefully everything's going good. Y'all let me know in the chat if there's issues in any form or fashion. We'll just reload on the ass every time. I ain't tripping. Y'all remember that everything can be found on piitp.com. Just want you, everything can be found on piitp.com. That includes all the books. If you need to book me for anything, it says I'm sharing my screen, but I'm not. I'm gonna keep trying to get this working. How about that? Now, guess I could turn that out. I'm trying to have everything just kind of sustained on my MacBook right now. Feels like my memory's super high. Like, why? Well, we have all the books. We have the traffic law reform. We are seeking and pushing forward to change traffic laws as far as the administrative ruling that is harming daily Americans every day. Honestly, these administrative rulings are just having people getting taken to jail and being harmed when there's nobody harmed in the process. It's actually a huge violation of constitutional right as far as due process is concerned to have your property taken from you um, without a real true crime. Of course, crime is with intent to harm another, to bring harm into some sort or fashion. Um, and then, so today though, what we will be going over is we will be going over the part 3. We're going to be in part 9 of the unlawful seizure and conversion of property. Okay, this is in relation to the law and yeah, internet is bad today. Looking like it's not wanting to work with me very well, but we're gonna keep trying. Um, let me do a quick test real quick. And my speed's coming out to like 300 megabytes a second. I don't really know what's going down. Cooling. So, all right. Let's see if I can hear. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Everything's straight with me over here. I don't know what's going on, y'all. I really don't. Hopefully, y'all can hear me better right now. So we're gonna be in part 9, and this is gonna be in relation to the unlawful seizure and conversion of property, okay? At common law, exercise of dominion over the personal property of another that seriously interferes with the owner's rights and requires the actor to pay the property's full value. See restatement, second of torts, section 222A, trespass to chattels, lies where there is an intermeddling or possession that causes harm or deprivation of use. Damn, no one can understand what you're saying. Wow, okay. Nobody can understand what your boy is saying. This is wild. What is going on right now? It says much better now. I'm good. Cameron, no one can understand what you're saying. So the microphone, I'm having microphone issues too. Man, okay, I hear you. Okay. Then why is people saying this? This is getting crazy. Y'all need to chill. Jeez, man. Y'all got me over here bugging. Says lagging really bad. Hey, man. I don't know why my internet's good. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Okay. Seizing, towing, impounding, imposing storage auction fees, or otherwise withholding a man's automobile absent lawful jurisdiction, i.e., absent commercial nexus or a other valid cause. Speeding, being outside of disregarding like the signs and the lights, things like that. Like, yeah, bro, that's you causing a safety hazard to people, right? Satisfies the elements of both the trespass to chattels and the conversion. If impoundment springs from a void ticket, the seizure is likewise void, and the subsequent monetary exactions constitute unlawful conversion. Constitutional overlay. The Fourth Amendment prohibits unreasonable seizures. The Fifth and 14th Amendments prohibit deprivations of property without due process of law. When a non-commercial traveler's conveyance is taken based on a void charging instrument, no commercial allegation, the seizure lacks probable cause and due process, and is ultra vires act, a color of law rather than law. See how that worked? The commercial limitation rule controls. Authorities uniformly confine plenary licensing forbidden commercial use. Hadfield versus London. No vested right to use the highways as a place of business. Permits prohibitions apply to business use. Okay? Permits or puts prohibitions on the apply to business use. That's what I'm saying. If they're clarifying one side of these roads that they can regulate, then you know there's an opposite. It's not like it's like hello, and it's spoken of. It's very clear. Chicago Motor Coach um, versus Chicago, of course, the ordinary travel is a right. Business to use may be regulated or prohibited. Rule. Where a man is not in commerce, the taking, holding, feeing, and auctioning of his automobile constitutes a trespass and a conversion. All proceeds derived from such taking are ill-gotten and subject to return, damages, and any other lawful remedy available at common law. Names, proper nouns, and misnomer, a rebuttal to the all caps designation. Names, knowledge, and legal capacity. Maxims of law underscore the significance of names. We got some Latin here, but I'm not going to read it in Latin. To comprehend rightly, inquire first into the names, for the right knowledge of things depends upon their names. The other one is one who errs in his own name is presumed incompetent. Latin maxims, Oxford English Dictionary entries on Christian name, and the rhetorical figure antonomasia show the historic expectation that the proper noun denotes the personal, Christian, or given name, and that titles, offices, or epithets are not the same thing as the proper name. Antonomasia, Oxford in 1933, quote, the substitution of an epithet or name of office for a person's proper name. Historic authorities on misnomer, the abatement at common law. Bacon's abridgment, 18th through the 19th century, of misnomer in want of addition. Quote, misnomer is a good plea in abatement. since names are only marks. If the name be omitted or mistaken, there is a complaint against nobody. And if the defendant has been arrested by a wrong name, the court will set aside the proceedings and discharge him if in custody. Discussions in later abridgments materials note that a wholly mistaken Christian name was regularly fatal to legal instruments at common law. These authorities show that identity matters. The law historically requires correct and proper name identification of the man summoned or bound, and a misnomer defeats process. All caps name in as designation of an artificial entity. Supported by dictionary usage notes, style manuals, and historical practice, the contention is that an all caps name is not a proper noun and functions as a designation for a separate artificial commercial legal entity, a person in the statutory sense. It is a title or epithet. Black's Law Dictionary in the fourth edition distinguished Christian name, given baptismal and surname family name. Quote, Christian name, the baptismal name as distant from the surname, unquote. Style authorities and governmental manuals historically capitalize initial letters of proper names, not every letter. Wholesale all caps have been used for styles, captions, docketing, or identifiers, not for the man's proper name in ordinary usage. Yeah, my boy Tanawa, we love Tanawa. Tanawa is the man. Yeah, Tanawa is definitely, prayers go up for him and everything. Um, Man, I haven't checked on him in the past 24 hours, so I need to see how he's doing. But everybody, in your thoughts and in your prayers, uh, really think about Tanawa Downing. I know he's been going through some medical things recently, and in my mind, I've always known Tanawa's gonna get through this just fine. I've kept it that way because I don't want to put no stress out there into the world. Um, yeah, we love you, Tanawa. You coming home soon and healthy, and we getting back to the mission here soon, brother. All right. So the rhetorical figure describes substituting a title or office for a proper name, paralleling the objection that state created designations of a citizen, a person, a resident, a national functions as offices or statuses, not as the man's name. And that's what I be saying. I'll be living by my name. I'll be living by who I am. I'm a creation of the creator, right? So you can put in all these other titles or offices or styles or designations or of whatever you want to place upon me, but the I am is above, right? So there's really no, and it's not as though it's like I'm above you and I'm above these laws. No, there are laws that I must abide by due to the fact that they are involving crimes, right? If I harm another, I harm another. But there has to be evidence of that harm. You can't just have someone saying it. Then the secondary aspect, or not even aspect, but the secondary um, thing to really think about here is why are we labeling administrative colorable laws as crimes, right? If it's administrative, like, well, you don't have this or you don't have this piece of paper, well, that's administrative because again, there's no body or crime element to it. There's nobody that's been harmed by my actions, right? There's nobody in the public that's come forth. And so that's always been the biggest thing to me is standing on that entitlement of, hey, dude, like I do have rights here, and I understand you're wanting, to put me into this realm, but I'm rebutting those presumptions. And the burden now lies on you to show where I am required. Because you keep saying you're required, you're required, you're required, but I don't see anywhere where it states that I'm required to do anything. Because again, that would be enslavement. I'm not a slave. I mean, if you're telling me I'm required to do something, there's nothing other than you're a slave. You will do as I say. You might as well say I'm a slave then. What else is there to say? Black's Law's Dictionary, 4th edition, title, quote, the radical meaning of this word appears to be that of a mark, style, designation, or a distinctive appellation. The name by which anything is known. Thus, in the law of persons, a title is an appellation of dignity or distinction, a name denoting the social rank of the person bearing it, as duke or count. Thus, it is not the man's Christian name and a misnomer and address of the man and a fatal flaw. Objection preserved. When the charging instrument, license, or judgment proceeds solely against the all caps designation without clear joinder by the man may object to that instrument is directed to a different legal subject, creating a misnomer and a failure of proper party identification. Under historic misnomer doctrine, that defect goes to the sufficiency of the process. Note on modern practice. Many modern codes allow amendment of misnomer defects. The objection stands that amendment cannot cure an identity fiction that seeks to merge the man with a separately administered commercial entity without knowing voluntary consent. The court of record must resolve identity and capacity on the record, not by presumption. Again, that presumption is a beast, okay? It's always rebutting the presumption. Because it's like, again, they're just sitting here saying, well, you're required, and it's like, well, you have a license that's suspended, and it's like, what? I don't have a license, y'all. I haven't given consent. The attorney general has spoken on this very heavily, y'all. Oh, well, there's case law. Okay, well, if there's case law, then it's incorrect because it's against my rights. I'm sorry to tell you. Anything that's goes against the Constitution is null and void. Any licensing law that is put in place that goes against my right to travel is null and void. I can act on my right with impunity. That's what I got as far as case law is concerned. Credentials and the all caps joinder problem. As shown in Reno versus Condon, 2000, driver's licensing data are treated as articles of commerce. Credentials issued solely in an all caps designation evidence participation in that commercial registry. Where a man expressly declines commercial engagement and preserves his proper name in ordinary usage, the mere presence of an all caps identifier on government paperwork cannot lawfully conscript him into a different legal persona or public office by presumption. Rule: a man retains the right to appear, to be known, and to be held to account in his proper name. He may object to proceedings or instruments directed to an all caps designation as misnomer or as an attempted joinder to a commercial persona he does not accept. I don't accept it. I didn't request it. And he may insist that any adjudication proceed upon the proper party with the limits of that party's non-commercial capacity preserved. 11, Section 11. The public roads, their inalienable nature, and statutory clarifications in Virginia. Public roads as unalienable trusts. Doctrine of unalienability, as expressed in Bovier's Law Dictionary. Quote, things which are not in commerce as public roads are in their nature unalienable. Damn. And judge is sitting here telling me I need to quit reading the internet. Nah, bro, we're just reading from Bovier's. Quote, the natural rights of life and liberty are unalienable. Thank you. You can't take them from me. This doctrine holds that public roads are not commodities to be alienated. They're not. This doctrine holds that public roads are not commodities to be alienated. What? What doctrine? The doctrine of unalienability. Unalienability, as expressed in Bovier's Law Dictionary, is things which are not in commerce as public roads are in their nature unalienable. How much more easier can it be said? It is very plain. It's very plain, bro. Like I don't get what y'all don't understand about this. Why is it so hard for me to get anybody to comprehend these facts? Things which are not in commerce as public roads are in their nature unalienable. You can't fuck with it. This doctrine holds that public roads are not commodities to be alienated. They are held in the trust for the people's use. For the people's use. It cannot be taken. Any statute that purports to convert ordinary public roads into alienable property or to restrict non-commercial use without consent is inconsistent with that foundational principle. You can't take it, bro. That's not how this works here. Where's my impunity at? Impunity. Is that in here somewhere? Yeah. Where's this coming out of? I gotta look at it just right here. It's coming out of shuttles. You know what? I'll just do it like this. Okay, here it is. And our decisions have made clear that a person faced with such an unconstitutional licensing law may ignore it and engage with impunity in the exercise of the right of free expression for which the law purports to require a license. It's the same thing. You can go ahead and replace this statement with the same thing as right to travel, right to locomotion. It is, bro, you can engage in that right with impunity. That's the point. It's like it's already known that you have this right. But for some reason, the state keeps trying to just interject as though it can just do what it continuously keeps doing. And that's the point. We got to get back to understanding and comprehending that we are one. We got to quit harming each other, bro. Like, that's not cool anymore. Taking another's private property because of an administrative tag is out of date. It's crazy to me. That's wild. That's not American, bro. Uh-oh. I wasn't asking for all that now. Okay, so we've got the constitutional and historical context. The Constitution gives Congress power to establish post offices and post roads, but that is not the same as creating all roads. Many public ways pre-existed and were used by common people. Thank you. The post roads clause does not overwrite or vest absolute propriety title in the government to all roads. The existence of a way open to travel is often ancestral and common, not statutory. We're going deep now. We're talking about ancestral. We're talking about DNA. We're talking about lineage. We're talking about for time immemorial. When you comprehend America is older than you can believe and way more important than you know. The use of the public roads by the people is consistent with the Declaration of Independence's recognition of unalienable rights, life, liberty, property. The roads being instrumental to liberty of movement cannot lawfully be turned into a privilege by statute except under a valid consent or contract. You must get my contract. You must get my contract. That's how this works. Or my consent, excuse me. Dedication and public use. Although many roads are dedicated by landowners or local authorities to public use, dedication is a grant of an interest, easement, or servitude permanently to the public, not a sale or underlying fee. Once accepted, dedication becomes irrevocable, placing the road into the public use trust. The public's right to use the way cannot be abrogated by public acts or contradictory statutes unless due process and compensation would be provided. Now, this is pretty common across the board, but we're going to be looking at Virginia in this one, okay? This is the Virginia statutes recognizing public road use. While Virginia law often speaks of highways and public ways, it is rare to see statutes that explicitly restate the common law trust doctrine. Nevertheless, several provisions confirm the public's use and define highway in terms consistent with public use, which they do. I've showed y'all how that the definition of street is, every way, byway, highway, all of those open as a matter of right for public vehicular travel. And let's see what Virginia is saying. So the Virginia Code section 33.2-100 definitions of highway defines highway to include every way or place open to the use of the public for purposes of vehicular travel in the Commonwealth. Well, damn. It doesn't say for motor vehicle driving, does it now? I don't see no motor vehicle driving terminology in there. It says open to the use. Over here in Washington, it says open as a matter of right. They put a right in there. So not that you have to go apply for a license to travel, but that's why they say drive. And when you say travel, it's like, oh, well, no, you that's not a thing. Dude, it says it within your own municipal code and your county code. Like, what are you talking about? Oh no, my camera got moved, bro. Damn, my bad, y'all. Okay, so the VA code, section 33.2-1200, policy and definitions likewise states, quote, highway means every way or place or of whatever nature open to the use of the public for purposes of vehicular travel in the Commonwealth. In Title 42.46.2, motor vehicles. Now, this is something different because up here it just says vehicular travel. It's not very specific to motor vehicles in and of itself. Section 46.2-100 defines roadway as the portion of the highway improved or ordinarily used for vehicular travel. The Virginia Administrative Code 24 VAC 30-73-10 defines highway, street, or road as a public way for vehicular travel, including the entire right of way. These definitions confirm that the law contemplates roads and highways open for the public use, i.e., service, not restricted to only licensed users. So, the dedication of public property and the conveyance for public use. VA Code Section 33.2-1806 allows a public entity to dedicate any property interest it has for public use as a transportation facility. But note, it must already hold some interest. It is not a mechanism to convert private use roads into wholly alienable private property without consent. 3. Inclusion of roads, streets, alleys in public way status. VA Code Section 33.2-914 provides, quote, road includes streets and alleys dedicated to public use, unquote, thereby confirming that once dedicated, even alleys and small ways become part of the public road network. Also, in Chapter 3, Section 33.2-325, the code defines street as a street or highway shown on a recorded plat that has been open to public use and used by motor vehicles for at least 20 years. Okay, open for the public use and used by motor vehicles for at least 20 years, meaning that there is some commercial application going on as well. Do you see what I'm saying? So public use and then also motor vehicles, commercial use for 20 years. Local use of streets by public entities. VA Code Section 15.2-2015. Use of streets, etc., for transportation and utilities. Permits and charges. Permits localities to regulate use of their streets for transportation and utility installations with consent, permits, charges, but does not allow converting the basic right of public travel into a licensed monopoly. Well, damn. Well, damn. Well, damn. That one hurts. That one hurts. That one got him a little bit, didn't it now? That one hurts. These statutes support, though do not fully restate, that roads are commonly held for public use and vehicular travel, not exclusively for licensed users. Interpretation and application. 1. The statutory definitions do not override unalienable trust. The Virginia codes define highways and roads open to public use, but they do not and cannot lawfully transform those public ways into unalienable property to be regulated solely by license unless consent or contract is present. The definitions affirm that public ways are for the use of all, which aligns to the common law view of unalienable roads. 2. The public's right to travel is preserved. Because the statutes universally frame roads as ways open to public use, they tacitly affirm that non-commercial travel is within the public's legitimate domain. The law cannot forbid or tax that use unless it is shown that the use defaults into commercial class, which it does not. Statuses relying on designation or restriction must comply with trust limits. Where Virginia law authorizes restrictions, for example, controlled access highways under Section 42.2-808, those are proper exceptions in safety or design, not wholesale destruction of common road rights. 4. Dedication does not convert public roads into government streets in the proprietary sense. While government entities maintain, improve, and repair public roads, that is service, not ownership as commerce. The maintenance role is consistent with stewardship, not appropriation, of the people's roads into commercial instruments. 11.4 in relation to the regulation for gain versus regulation of rights. It has long been established that activity for gain or for hire, that is, use of public ways in pursuit of profit, is subject to regulation under the state's police power and commerce authority. The U.S. Supreme Court in Packard versus Banton, oh, we love it. Yes, we do. In Crandall versus Nevada, affirmed that government may regulate carriage for hire as it is a commercial use of the roads. However, travel and locomotion undertaken by a man or woman in their private capacity is not commerce. The lawful use of the public roads for personal passage is a right of liberty, secured under the natural and common law, reiterated in the Declaration of Independence as an unalienable right. There exists no declaration of nullity or a lawful repeal of this principle in any Virginia statute or federal law. The presumption that all use of public roads is commercial or licensable is without foundation and original meaning and stands contrary to the Constitution construction. The construction and legislative intent. Statutory construction requires that all statutes be read in harmony with the Bill of Rights, the South Carolina Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence, all of which preserve the rights of the people as antecedent to government under these principles. The state cannot convert the state cannot convert a right into a privilege without express consent or contract. Number two, regulation may exist only to the extent of safety or commerce, never to destroy or diminish inherent rights. Three, the people retain the right to locomotion as a part of liberty, and such use cannot be presumed as commercial absent clear evidence of gain. 11.6 conclusion. Public roads in Virginia, as in every lawful state of the Union, remain unalienable and held in trust for the people. The statutes defining highways and streets and roads confirm that these ways exist open to the use of the public. The lawful right to travel thereon cannot be lawfully licensed or taxed unless done for hire or gain. All of the regulation is a presumption beyond the limits of an original intent, supported by any declaration of nullity or constitutional amendment to the contrary. Let's get into residency. What's up? What's the matter? You? What's up to my boy Lynn? What's up? You have rights. Cops have duties. What's up, Wendy? What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Ralph? What's up, Charlie? What's up, Joe? What's up, Lim? Yeah, man. Christopher, what's up, everybody? Glad y'all here. Now we're going into 12. Residency, ownership, and the misapplication of legal status. Definition and misuse of resident. Black Law's Dictionary, the first edition. Resident, a tenant who was obliged to reside on his lord's land and not depart from the same. A resident may not be entitled to all the privileges or subject to all the duties of an inhabitant. Emer de Vettel, Law of Nations. This is Book 1, Chapter 19, Section 213. Quote, residents, as distinguished from citizens, are aliens who are permitted to take up a permanent abode in the country, being bound to the society by reason of their dwelling in it. They are subject to its laws so long as they remain there, and being protected by it, they must defend it. Although they do not enjoy all the rights of citizens, they have only certain privileges which the law or custom gives them. Permanent residents are those who have been given the right of perpetual residence. They are a sort of citizen of less privileged character and are subject to the society without enjoying all of its advantages. Their children succeed to their status, for the right of perpetual residence given them by the state passes to their children. Then we getting into resident in the Bouvier's Law Dictionary of 1856. Resident, international law. Yo, there's 31 of y'all in here, but only 15 likes. Y'all get them likes up. Resident, international law. A minister, according to diplomatic language, of a third order, less in dignity than an ambassador or an envoy. This term formerly related only to the continuance of the minister's stay, but now it is confined to ministers of this class. Resident persons, quote, a person divided into categories depending on station, position, standing, etc. However, However, in law, man and person are not exactly synonymous terms. A person is a man considered according to the rank he holds in society with all the rights to which the place he holds entitles him and the duties which it imposes. Coming into a place with intention to establish his domicile or permanent residence, or who in consequence actually remains there. Time is not so essential as the intent executed by making or beginning an actual establishment, though it be abandoned in a longer or shorter period, unquote. Thus, a resident is not equal to the people of the state, but a foreign alien temporarily allowed to remain under license or privilege.
So by confessing residency on government forms, a man unwittingly waives his political and territorial independence and enters a foreign administrative jurisdiction. Such a confession constitutes joindeer to privilege and waiver of an unalienable right. No man is lawfully compelled to confess residency, for to do so is to exchange one's inherent sovereignty for subjection under the feudal model, a tenant under another upon another's land. A lawful person and a man are not synonymous, as a man can have a lawful person title, yet not be of said station in the daily private life. Statutory redefinitions cannot alter that historic meaning, for the rules of statutory construction require preservation of original intent. Verb become effectu. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. That one's good. I love that one there. It's really on point too. It's deep in comprehension, but it's all the way there. What's going down? What's going down? All right. So we got the oaths and jurisdiction. Oaths create vertical jurisdiction. They are acknowledgments of subordination to a superior. Christ's command, swear not at all. Matthew 5:34-37 reflects the ancient maxim that equality among men is lost when an oath of fealty is sworn. In America, all men are created equal, therefore, no man is required to swear to another's authority to exercise a right. An oath is given to, provided to, another public servant by a superior, the people, as in the oath of office and the oath of fidelity, given to the public servants acting in the explicit role to protect rights unalienable and inviolate to take them. A perjury oath signature on a governmental forms is a contractual confession of subordination and jurisdictional consent. A compelled autograph under threat of loss, penalty, or prosecution is void, for it is given without free will. Consensus, dolitum errorum, errorum, coacta, voluntas non est voluntas. Consent removes error. A compelled will is not a will. Legal title versus equitable ownership. Black Laws Dictionary, the 4th edition. Legal title. Legal title now. Quote, one cognizable or enforceable in a court of law, but which carries no beneficial interest in the property, another person being equitably entitled thereto, unquote. The legal owner. The legal owner has title to the property, although the title may carry no rights to the property other than a lien, unquote. Accordingly, the certificate of title to an automobile does not convey full ownership. It merely evidences participation in a public registry and that the equitable title exists somewhere. The true equitable title resides with the state once the manufacturer's certificate of origin is surrendered. By registering the automobile, the man converts private property into commercial property held in a public trust, a voluntary alienation. Thus, the government becomes the equitable owner and the registrant holds only a conditional use subject to regulation. This is by coercion and fear. As such, this invalidates the agreement, as no man would sign away his right to the thing he has full invested interest and government has none. Personal liberty and ownership. The commentaries under 134 defines personal liberty as, quote, the power of locomotion, of changing situation, of removing one's person to whatever place one's inclination may direct, without imprisonment or restraint, unless by due course of law, unquote. To force licensing, registration, or fealty oaths as conditions to move freely upon the public roads is an infringement upon this liberty. By compelling a man, the man, to assume, or woman, to assume the status of resident or legal owner, government converts unalienable liberty into a revocable privilege, contrary to both common law maxims and the Declaration of Independence, which proclaims such rights as unalienable. The Virginia application and standing is that Virginia statutes use resident chiefly for taxation and administrative classification. They do not, nor could they, redefine the lawful status of a man born upon the land. The Virginia Constitution and Code contain no grant of authority empowering government to compel men to declare residency or surrender property title as a prerequisite for exercising liberty. And to impose such requirements exceeds the delegated power and constitutes a constructive fraud upon the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. 12.6. The lawful distinction and remedy. A man of the land is not a resident. He is domiciled upon Florida or any physical state of the Union of States by right of birth and soil by naturalization, not by privilege or permission. A man's automobile held in private capacity is not a motor vehicle in commerce. Compulsory registration is void absent informed consent. 3. Any oath or signature obtained under the threat or necessity is void ab initio, becoming involuntary. 4. Government may not redefine terms of art, resident, license, ownership, person, driver, motor vehicle to usurp unalienable rights. 5. Rights of liberty, locomotion, and property ownership remain under the protection of the Bill of Rights and are beyond legislative reach. 12.7 before closing, and then we'll finish off with on the next section as far as part 4 with section 13. So the conclusion: I, a man, Freddie Free, man, affirm that I am not a resident, I am not an alien, and I am not the legal owner of any property held in commercial registry. I retain full equitable interest in my property and the full liberty of movement upon the public roads of Virginia. And all presumptions of residency, oaths of subordination, or statutory titles in my name are rebutted and void. Government may not, by redefinition or coercion, divest me of my unalienable rights secured by divine law, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. Again, you're a creation of the Creator. Um, it has to get back to there's no control. Um, I know they want to impose and they want to enforce and they want to say this and that, but in the real true reality of all existence is that there can be no thing, harm, fee, fair, charge, trespass, illegality done against you until you've hurt someone else. And that's what America is. Again, we got to get back to the magnanimity. Again, that is showing what God is in this realm. If I got to look up the definition again, benevolence. Magnanimity is like benevolence. The quality of being loftiness of spirit, enabling one to bear trouble calmly, to disdain meanness and pettiness, and to display a noble generosity. He had the magnanimity to forgive her for lying about him. A magnanimous, a mag name. Oh, how do you say that one? That one's a little, I don't like. Let me see if I can get magnanimous act. A magnanimous act. So that's coming out of Webster's. The virtue of being great of mind and heart. It encompasses usually a refusal to be petty, the willingness to face danger and actions for noble purposes. Oh, there can be no better word for those who stand for truth and unity in this realm. Like, y'all be getting mad at me for like speaking on things. Like, if we do something on a closing real quick, that'd be pretty cool. I can do something real quick. We can do a quick review, just something that's always in my heart, because this is what we're doing. We are looking to get all of these bills introduced all over the United States, bro. Nah, not this one. We are looking to get this introduced as we have been rewriting them for certain states. Again, this is all what the traffic law reform is all about, right? This is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to change the nation, right? We're really trying to make something work here. This bill, again, was passed on the lower end. It had 262 yeas to 68 nays. That means yeses to nos. It overly passed on the lower side. Okay. You can see the sponsors, the representatives. Okay. This is in the committee as far as transportation is concerned, because there is a clear distinction between transportation and traffic. All right. We need to make that very clear here. This bill restates the right to travel and requires that the Department of Safety provide at no cost to all non-commercial automobile and non-commercial conveyance owners a decal and identification card that state the holder is exempt from registering his or her automobile and other private conveyance under the superior authority of the RSA 3882 A 9-109. 9-109. Yes, that is the same as the U.C.C. code. I'm not BSing you. It is so true, my bro. Like, I am so not kidding. I'm so serious. Come on, zoom out a little bit. Right here. Of the Uniform Commercial Code, which provides exemption for non-taxable consumer goods and household goods. This bill also repeals requirements for certain travelers or drivers to acquire non-commercial driver's licenses. Again, what we're reading from is the state of New Hampshire bill that passed on a 268 yes to a 262 or something like that. Yes to a 68 no on the lower level when this bill was first introduced. It's very important. Here we go. Okay, this was in 2019. An act relative to registration of commercial motor vehicles and operators' driver's licenses being enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives and General Court convened. 1. The statement of purpose. The General Court finds that the jurisdiction and authority of the Department of Safety is limited to only the commercial users of the public ways, and that the corporate state employees have, by their silence, failed to fully inform the sovereign people of the state that an automobile has been confined by Chief Justice Grimes in 108 New Hampshire 386 to be a private property, defined by current RSA 382A semicolon 9-109 as household goods and consumer goods, not for commercial use or for profit or gain. Further, the courts have found that corporate public servants who ignore their accountability as mandated in Article 8 of the New Hampshire Bill of Rights have, by their silence and failure to fully inform the sovereign people of the consequences arising from the corporate offer to contract, is deemed silent deception and inducement by fraud, as well as committing the tort of conversion when taking or seizing the certificate of origin in violation of the Fifth Amendment. Do you understand that? Do you understand how deep that is? Do you understand that 262 representatives voted yes on this? You can't sit here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about here. You can't sit here and tell me that I'm not hip to the game. You can't sit here and tell me that I need to quit reading things on the internet when these are bills that are being drafted in real life. This is a real comprehension and knowing of what is true. Don't sit here and try and fool me and make me seem like I'm some kind of dummy because you want to place yourself into the position of, I mean, you can violate my rights fully. Go ahead and violate my rights because your qualified immunity is gone because we found the notwithstanding clause. We found the notwithstanding clause, and qualified immunity is no more. We're going to speak on that later this week. 2. The right to travel, RSA 261 semicolon 40 is repealed and reenacted to read as follows. Is repealed, they said. For the purpose of this section, automobile and motorcycle means any self-propelled conveyance used for non-commercial travel upon the public ways. This is a real bill that was introduced. I hope you know that. It passed on the lower side. B, motor vehicle means any self-propelled conveyance designed and used upon the public ways for profit or gain in business or commerce. Again, 262 yeses to 68 no's. Okay, our representatives know, bro. Our higher people know the truth. C, household goods and consumer goods has the same meaning as Uniform Commercial Code found at RSA 382A-9-102 and RSA 382A-9-109 and shall include an automobile. Automobiles and all non-commercial conveyances shall be exempt from the license and registration required of commercial motor vehicles. Jeez. D, operator or driver means and defines one who controls the movement of a conveyance upon the public way for commercial or business purposes. Do you see now why this is so important as far as the right to travel, right? Campaign, traffic, law, reform, petition, right? Do you understand now why this is so serious? Do you understand why now we need more signatures? This is a real deal, y'all. Like, we really trying to change. I'm going to continue on reading this, but I really need y'all to take this link and go sign. If you haven't signed this yet, please go sign our petition. Traveler means one who controls the automobile or other non-commercial conveyance. Very distinct and clear. F, common law, means and defines sole remedy, requiring an injured party and not an ens legis or non-human corporate creation for any controversy arising from or by public use of household goods or consumer goods, such as an automobile or other non-commercial conveyance. The Department of Safety shall provide at no cost every non-commercial automobile owner or owner of any other non-commercial conveyance with an appropriate decal imprinted with the words RSA 382A 9-109 tax exempt. The Division of Motor Vehicles shall use their current photo equipment, now in use for driver's licenses and identification cards for legislators, to issue all non-commercial travelers a photo identification card at no cost with the words RSA 382A 9-109 exempt, printed on such identification card. This identification card is not a contract, license, or instrument that would require compelled performance by the holder. The front of the photo identification card will have, in addition to the photo, the name and address of the sovereign American and the language, quote, state of New Hampshire across the top, and beneath, non-commercial traveler, notice, and pursuant to Article 4, Section 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the United States of America. The sovereign who is identified in this photo ID is guaranteed safe conduct and safe passage in all foreign states and immunity from the from any commercial levies or other charges. There shall be imprinted in gold copy the seal of this republic with the signature of the Secretary of State as the issuer of the photo ID. The Department of Safety will notify every law enforcement agency in the state and the limited commercial jurisdiction concerning the right to travel, and will and include in the curriculum of the Police Standards Training Academy a course specifically and distinctly providing the fact that it is the use of the non-taxable consumer goods that determines their status and classification. It's so funny that I sit here and say to a judge recently, well, everything is about use. The use determines classification. And he's like, what are you talking about? Use determines classification. I don't even think you understand that. Yeah, the way that I'm using it on the roads determines the classification in which I can be placed in. You're trying to place me as a motor vehicle, but still haven't determined, based on the definition of motor vehicles, that I was using the roads for profit or gain in any commercial capacity. Like, don't sit here and ridicule me, bro. Like, I should just hit you for a recusal. You dig what I'm saying? The automobile and the non-commercial conveyances are exempt from registration and taxation, and the owner of such automobile or non-commercial conveyance are exempt from the requirement of a license that is necessary for commercial use of the public ways. The deed showing ownership of the automobile, also known as the certificate of origin, shall be delivered to the automobile dealer to the purchaser at time of sale, and shall preempt and make unnecessary any duplication of process by corporate government. This mandate shall ensure that the purchaser shall be considered to be exercising the common, unalienable right to travel on the public right-of-way of the ordinary and lawful pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Vanity plate fees. Amended RSA 26352 to read as follows. Then they start going into the other ones, right? All the stuff that they're striking out from current, right? But it's crazy to see that this is real. This is a real bill, y'all. This is from legiscan.com in the New Hampshire text. And this is what we're trying to do. Okay. That's what I want y'all to know. Like, this is what we're trying to do in the United States is send in these bills, get these representatives to sponsor the bills and move the conversation forward so that we stop getting the travesty that we're constantly seeing across our nation. This guy's still going, right? This guy's still going. Co-sponsor, co-sponsor, co-sponsor. Republican, 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 all in New Hampshire. This guy's still going. It's pretty amazing to see. Here go the votes. If you want to see the source, right? Government bills. Look at all these votes. Look at all these votes for what we just read. Yay, yay. Democrats and Republic. Yay, 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 yay. Look at all these yays. Look at all these yays. Y'all think these representatives ain't on our side when it comes to the right to travel and changing this motherfucking nation? No, it's the people that's harming you right now. It's the people that's harming you. This camera, bro. The people that's harming you right now that want to keep this in place. The people that profit off of towing your car. The people that profit off of seeing you harmed, right? And stopping this nation. The crimes, these are crimes. To have other people want to harm you is a travesty, bro. That is not what's up. So I just wanted to show y'all a little bit of that bill so you understand how important it is for the traffic law reform petition to be signed. So that way we can continue to build this up all across the nation, because we see that there's already, you look at little bitty New Hampshire and all the yays you got there. Now think about some real Republican states. You're going to get a lot of yays, okay? You're going to get a lot of yeses. Let's pass this bad boy. And with that, we get a lot of conversation. Once we get the conversation, then we get the knowledge. Once we get the knowledge, then we get the growth, the spread of that knowledge. The conversation starts sparking. I know all across the board, my people are saying, man, I'm starting to see more private traveler plates on than I've ever seen before. Why is that? Because people are recognizing that we truly do live in America, that the law really does state that we hold and retain the power, that all power is inherent in you, that you truly are a creation of the Creator. And being such, you cannot be stifled. You have rights. Like right now, I know that there are certain things in my life that are going wrong and they're not legal. Have I gone all the way to the highest form or a higher form of getting remedy? Not yet. Because I think I would like to see how egregious it can become when even the truth is being told, one still chooses to do wrong. It's really tough out here to have a good heart. It's really tough out here to stay in a composure which I've stayed in this year, to not lash out against people, to not be that person that's going to call other people about their name and ridicule and be bitter and sour about how people are lying on me, how people are persecuting me and prosecuting me for things that never took place, how being a good person sometimes can put you in a situation, man, that really is not favorable to you. But instead of attacking, all I know is love. That's all I know, because that's all that's been bestowed upon me. God forgave me in my earlier time period in life and allowed me to live through the things that I did. And now in my life, I have completely changed. I'm a father, I'm a leader, I'm an author, I'm an influencer of God again, the return of essence of knowing who you are and who the next person is that you look at. And if we continue to instill that empowerment, that integrity, the morality, and the magnanimity again into our nation, it will rise. It just takes you to continue it on. I want y'all to remember that I am you and we are us. All of the links to everything is down in the description. If you want to become a Wisdom member, please do so. If you would like to come into the Discord, please do so. You can become a wise noob. I have 3 different books now on my website, piitp.com. If you need to book me for any tickets, if you need to book me for any consultation, if you need to bring a lawsuit, if you need to do research together, you can book me also on my Calendly. Okay. All the links are in the description. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are beautiful people. Remember, I am you and we are us, and we are all a part of the great I am. Give all glory back to God. Love the person that's right in front of you right now like there's no tomorrow, because you never know what may transpire. Do the best and be the best every day. I'll see y'all for part 4, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. I love y'all. Bye.